The baby boomer generation inherited the most stable, prosperous civilization in human history, and built a worldview that assumed it would never end. But it did. To understand why the world now feels stagnant, indebted, and culturally exhausted, we have to understand how that worldview formed, and how it shaped their politics, their priorities, and even their faith. One of the defining traits of this worldview is extreme short-term time preference. It's the mindset of spending the inheritance instead of maintaining the house. Traditions exist to transmit obligations into the future, and obligations are exactly what this worldview resists. Economically, this shows up in systems that promise more than they can ever deliver. Debt-financed welfare states that assume someone else will pay the bill later. Socially, it shows up in the sexual revolution, which maximized adult freedom while externalizing the cost onto children and future generations. Anything that requires a sacrifice of wealth or pleasure in the short term, this worldview consistently pushed against. But why? Boomer eschatology, how they see the end, falls into 3 phases, and all 3 reward short-term thinking. Phase 1. Fear of World War III and nuclear apocalypse. This was the most important part of a baby boomer's worldview growing up. They grew up in what felt like paradise, unprecedented wealth, peace, and comfort, paired with the constant threat that it could all disappear overnight through mutually assured destruction. Given that worldview, consumption wasn't irrational, it was logical. But after the USSR fell, and the fear of a nuclear apocalypse dwindled with it, a new eschatology took its place. Phase 2. The End of History Hypothesis. This was a show of incredible optimism. With the fall of the USSR, baby boomers believed that they had triumphed against the last source of evil that threatened their paradise. Therefore, history was over. Liberal democracy had won. From now on, things only get better. This produced apathy and a degree of jealousy in the minds of followers of this worldview. As technology advances, their children will enjoy an ever greater paradise. If history was over, then sacrifice was unnecessary. And if the future was guaranteed to be better, then responsibility was optional. They saw it as a summer that never ends and yields a greater harvest each time. Why sacrifice for your children if they're already guaranteed an easier, richer life than you ever had? In their old age, some religious baby boomers realized life wasn't getting better as promised. Things were deteriorating actually, especially on the cultural front. We are undergoing a historic civilizational decline with no obvious solution in sight. So, does this mean those in power finally admit responsibility for their actions and try to turn things around? Of course not. Instead, it must be because the world is ending. Phase 3. Jesus is coming back any second. And if Jesus is coming back any second, then there's no need to struggle to fix the world. He'll fix everything. An imminent apocalypse is the perfect alibi. It absolves you of the responsibility for the institutions you weakened, the debts you accumulated, and the culture you hollowed out. The tragedy is that Scripture warns us against this mindset. No one knows the hour, and faithfulness is measured by stewardship, not speculation. Christianity doesn't teach escape from history. It demands faithfulness within.